but not all of them.
Not all of them.
And
right.
and you know, this is so incredibly cynical.
Yeah.
These laws that are supposedly supposed to protect voter integrity and the integrity of electoral
What a
process.
crock.
These are laws. These are solutions in search of a problem.
Yeah.
There's been no evidence of rampant voter fraud anywhere, and very little. These are clearly wolf in sheep's clothing kind of measures to try to suppress the votes of members of the minority community, in particular immigrants and folks who generally vote Democratic.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
You know,
and they said that. They said as much. So people should pay attention to that. I mean, to me, the entire contest right now, it's so pivotal. It's about whether or not we go forward and embrace and enlarge people's freedoms, or backwards. I mean, we've got 4 states with gay marriage on the bill.
Ballot.
We've got the whole question of women's right to choose, and all the way to whether or not we get to run our own elections. Every time I get fired up about a federal election, I keep a list of things. After this is over, this is what we should be doing. And
I'm moving back to the left on Wednesday, no matter what happens. But I do want to. I want to share. I want to share something that I just. My buddy Gordon Thompson and I just went up to Ann Arbor. We went up on Thursday to the. It was the 50th anniversary of the Port Huron Statement, and for those people
Does
who
that
don't
make
know,
you feel old, Michael?
Well, I was younger than a number of the people there.
It's hard to make Michael feel old.
I'm not too bad for almost 71, but I was with a number of people from Tom Hayden, Casey Hayden, Dorothy Burlage, Sharon Jeffrey, Maria Varilla, all of these people who I had known for close to 50 years, maybe 47, 48 years, who had worked in Mississippi doing voter registration. It was a very emotional time. There was a lot of talk about the role that, poor black farmers and people who just wanted the right to vote, and the struggles that went on, and it just this happening at the same time that you read about some of the same states where they had done this work, and some northern states trying to block the vote. Yeah. I mean, it was something that people fought and died for.
And history is repeating itself, isn't it?
Yeah, and so one of the things that we know that you take a few steps forward, you take a step backward. You have to really fight for every inch of ground that you glean and gain through your struggles over the years. So you cannot take things for granted, because there's an awful lot of younger folks out there who don't know the history. And part of this conference up there was about, and there was lots of younger students as well as lots of old codgers showing up. You have to always share the history, encourage people to face the issues that keep arising over and over. Yeah. And injustice is not going to go away unless there is a firewall of millions of people working in a myriad of ways to make sure that we take care of our gains.
Well said, Michael.
Well, that's why Katie's heading up to Wisconsin after this show. Yeah. To protect our gains and to move forward for the future.
I would like to strengthen that firewall big time, and like you said, after the election, moving back to the left, I would like to go to places where people are just talking trash about people's rights, and get in their faces and say, forget about it. I mean, there was something that went around, pledge to count every vote. Did you see that? And that's basically in reaction to, we're not going to let 2000 happen again.
Right.
And
no way.
I think that's a very good plan. I hope it's not necessary to enact, but as far as there will be individual places where some of this voter suppression is active, where it affects a congressional race or maybe a Senate race. And, Durbin's messages this past week have been, he won his first Senate seat by, something like a vote a precinct or 2 votes per precinct, which reminds us of the whole of Adlai Stevenson, a bunch of races that were lost by that much. And So yeah, it's a tricky time, but
It is indeed.
Nate's back to Nate Silver. He predicts that the president will win the popular vote. He predicts that he will win the Electoral College. He also predicts that the Democrats will hold the Senate. All of his figures are moving in Obama's direction and the Democrats' direction since the 26th of October. But I'm not so sure. I get a lot of emails, as I'm sure both of you do, from various people, and I just don't know who these people are, but can you give $3? Can you give $5? And they talk about specific congressional races that are close.
Yeah.
Anyone want to share what they know about congressional races in this state and around town? Sometimes it's hard to know who's putting the ad on at first, you know.
Have you seen
the
ads?
They quote Obama to badmouth Democrats sometimes on some of these ads.
Have you seen the ads against Brad Schneider?
Yeah, they're pretty gruesome.
They're pretty gruesome. And Bruce Dold is a Tea Party water carrier.
You're talking about the congressional race in the north suburbs.
Yeah.
For those listening on the radio.
Is it the 10th?
10th congressional district. Brad Schneider running against Bruce Dold, who's a first-term Republican who took Mark Kirk's place when Mark Kirk ran for the Senate, and he had a guy named Dan Seals waged a valiant battle against Dold for that open seat and came up short. And now Brad Schneider is giving him a run for the money. You have a congressional seat in the northwest suburbs where this unbelievably extreme right Tea Party guy, Joe Walsh. First-term congressman, is running
against Tammy
Duckworth in a newly redrawn district.
The woman, he said, shouldn't be talking about herself as a hero, something she actually never did.
It looks like Duckworth will probably win.
Thank God.
But the Schneider-Dold race is too close to call.
Yeah.
There's a guy named David Gill who's running for an open seat, Tom Johnson's seat in the south suburbs that seems to be making a good run for it.
They're also spending a lot of money against him.
Yeah. There's the Foster and Biggert race, another one in the west suburbs that's razor
thin. Toss-up?
Yeah.
And what about there's two gals running. Christy. I'm forgetting her name.
I know who you're talking about.
Jan has been.
You are listening to the live
west part of the state.
Yeah.
You are listening to the live from the Heartland show.
Right over by the Moline.
Balos, I believe, is the name.
Okay.
Christy Balos.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, though, we could talk a long time about politics. I think it would be great if we got past the place of this extreme partisanship where, one party or another is going to be seen as the bully, as I see when we redistricted Illinois so pointedly for Dems.
Right.
And I don't think that's fair either. I'd like to see something a little more, like the way we are.
Seems fair enough.
See, yeah, that's what I mean.
Let me talk about one thing that I think a lot of the people listening to this station. I mean, I think everyone listening is all for Obama. I'd be surprised if there's one Romney supporter out there. If there is,
there's a few.
But there are a couple of issues that have been on the ballot that are going to be on the Illinois ballot that haven't gotten a whole lot of coverage.
Right.
And let me highlight one. I think the first one that's probably the most important from a consumer and environmental point of view. There is a referendum on the ballot.
Just so you know, as he announces this, because I got a text, we are talking with 49th Ward Alderman Joe Moore. And you are listening to the Live from the Heartland show on WLUW 88.7 Chicago Sound Alliance. And we're here every Saturday morning at 9 o'clock
we get
on
a
the
little
stage at the Heartland.
Yeah. Like we're talking in the...
Take it away, Joe Moore.
Alderman.
All right. There is a binding referendum on the City of Chicago ballot, meaning that if this referendum passes, it'll have legal effect. Let me read it to you so everyone knows that it's what it says. Shall the City of Chicago have the authority to arrange for the supply of electricity for its residents and small commercial retail customers who have not opted out of such program? In other words, what it's asking is, should we give the city the ability to buy electricity on the open market on behalf of the residents of this city and the small businesses. What this does is basically it's like Costco. You get cheaper price when you buy in bulk, and what this does is gives the city the ability to negotiate lower prices because it'll have literally millions of customers to negotiate for. It's on the ballot. It's supported by consumer groups who think it'll result in lower electric bills. And in short term, it may result in bills almost half of what they are now. And it can help the environment because we can also buy from suppliers who get their electricity from green energy sources, wind and solar power.
We can't already do that?
Not the city of Chicago. We can't individually,
right? But
the city of Chicago can do it on behalf of all the residents, and thereby really benefiting the green power industry in this state.
It's good you're mentioning this because nothing could be quite as confusing as this whole concept for voters.
And just in case, if you are a residential customer, a small business, and you don't want the city to buy for you, you can opt out of the program. But I think it's going to be a good program, and it is supported by the Chicago Clean Power Coalition, which is the organization that I worked with to shut down the 2 coal-fired power plants, the Sierra Club. All of the environmental groups are supporting this. Citizens Utility Board has been pushing this as well. This is good for consumers and good for the environment. So that's one measure. There's also this constitutional amendment on the ballot.
I'm fond of that one.
The Democratic Party and all the progressive groups and labor groups urge a no vote because what it asks for is it is a constitutional amendment proposing that that would require a 3/5 majority of either the Illinois legislature or a local government, governing body of a local governmental institute unit like city council or board of commissioners to increase the benefit under any public pension or retirement system. Now, it has some surface appeal given the problems we have with the pension system now, but it really is nothing more than political posturing. It ties the hands of local governments. It ties the hands of future legislators who might want to do something that has the support. It's contrary of the people. It's contrary to the majority rule, and it's just a pure political posturing to make them think that they're doing something about the pension crisis when this will do nothing, not one thing to solve the pension crisis. So
it's a recommended vote no.
Vote no, and then we have 2 advisory referendums on the ballot. They don't have any binding effect, but they can have effect in terms of helping to move the debate in the direction of these issues. One is asking whether the United States Constitution should be amended to give federal government and local governments the right to regulate the amount of money in politics. In other words, right now, under the Supreme Court decision, Citizen United, and court decisions that have come since then, corporations and individuals can give unlimited money to political efforts, to supporting candidates and causes. It has distorted the political process. We've seen the impact on all these ads that are on TV, and it gives the wealthy and corporations a disproportionate influence on the electoral process. And all this does is give this power back to the people to determine whether those contributions should be regulated. So we urge a no vote on that as well.
It's a yes vote.
I mean, a yes vote.
Jeez, Joe.
Thank you.
Jiminy Christmas, dude.
A yes vote on that.
Scared me. I voted yes.
Any other ones?
You know, that particular one and what you do see in the battleground states, people are not watching TV anymore. They're not picking up their phones. They're renting movies and watching movies because that unlimited money, which is having an effect on people who simply, don't do any of their own research. I mean, some of the things they've said about Tammy Baldwin on TV. Tammy Duckworth here in Illinois. It's incredible. So if people watch that and that they've spent more money than the Democrat, it's affecting votes. And so please do vote on that constitutional amendment, even though it is non-binding. It'd be nice to have a big swell of
we need
support.
to have the city of Chicago in an overwhelming vote say that we want to return government and the political system back to the people and away from the corporations and the very wealthy. That's what that
When was it
referendum
last in the
says.
hands of the people?
Well, it's getting further and further away.
Yeah.
And
That's
the political process is being more and more distorted.
Yeah.
More so than ever before. There's no pretenses anymore.
I know.
Well, Joe Moore, I want to thank you for coming on the show.
You got a big job
And
to do.
I will see you. Sure, you can say one more thing.
One more thing. For those who weren't taking notes, we also have some important judicial races, not judicial races, but there's a judicial retention ballot. There are at least 5 judges on that ballot that have been found unqualified by an overwhelming number of the bar associations. They should be off the bench because they affect people's lives.
Yeah.
Go to ward49.com. And in the news section at the bottom of the page, you can click on the link, and you'll have all the recommendations of the 49th Ward Democratic Party, led by Michael James, on how we should vote on the referenda and the judicial